This is the 7th Ward of New Orleans. I'm over here at Frenchmen Street. Frenchmen Street is located in the Fauborg-Marigny neighborhood. So this is a very historic neighborhood, and there's a lot of cool spots to hang out. So it's a smaller neighborhood than the French Quarter in downtown, but it still has you know, the vibrant vibe to it. So you have a Snug Harbor, which is a jazz bistro right here on Frenchmen Street. Have a bike shop right here, Michael's Bikes. It's a lot of mom and pops over here, mom and pop stores. Electric Ladyland. Tattoo parlor. Alright, cafes. Then we're also going to find the murals, of course. Ooh, they got New Orleans famous fried chicken, Willie's Chicken Shack, at the corner of Chartres and Frenchmen. Let me go ahead and cross over here. But there goes Willie's right there in that red building. That sounds so good right about now. Oh, they also have daiquiris too. They sell daiquiris in there too. I guess this is a mural of Little Freddie King, Dr. Bones. And check this out. They have the horse tours right over here, the Nola carriages. So Frenchmen Street is basically looks like a little mini French Quarter. But it's the Faubourg-Marigny neighborhood to be exact. There's a mural of Samantha Fish. Looks like a brother with a musician, with the guitar. At Black Rabbit Band at In the Painter, 2021. Dope artwork right here. Frenchmen at Paul at Hall. Well, check out at Paul at Hall. Check out that portfolio, because from the looks of it, he be doing his thing on the murals. Frenchmen, Orleans at 519. We got an apartment building right here at Frenchmen Street. Rambler. Looks like they're doing some construction over here. But in a nutshell, this is Frenchmen Street, or more specifically, the Faubourg-Marigny neighborhood. So we're on to the next part of New Orleans, so stay tuned. Nice sculpture, by the way. Before I go, let me get the artist's name. Joanna Croppo. All right, dope. All right. So guys, this is the Willie's Chicken Shack that I was just telling you about not too long ago. I got super hungry, so I stopped by to grab me a plate. And it's a shrimp basket with fries and a biscuit. And this was established in 1938 in the lower 9th Ward of New Orleans, but it is now in the Fauborg-Marigny area. And check out the artwork in here, it's really nice. And also, check this out. Lil Wayne, New Orleans' very own. Dope. I'm over here by the sports arenas here in New Orleans. On the right you have the Caesars Superdome, what used to be simply known as the Louisiana Superdome. That's right here on the right. That's home of the New Orleans Saints NFL squad, and I also believe that the Tulane football team plays there at the Superdome as well. But that is home of the New Orleans Saints, and on the left is the basketball arena. The Smoothie King Center is what it's called, and it's the home of the New Orleans Pelicans NBA squad. So these two venues connect to each other via like a little sky bridge, if you will. Yep, here goes the Caesars Superdome right here, up close and personal. So again, this is the home of the New Orleans Saints. You know, they won the Super Bowl back in 2009. You know, some of the most notable players that ever played for them was Drew Brees, Ricky Williams, a ton of defensive players like Charles Grant, the Dome Patrol back in the 80s. This is the New Orleans Saints. And the Benson family, I believe, they are the heirs to that franchise. And also, aside from being where the New Orleans Saints played, the Superdome also served as a shelter for a lot of the refugees of the Hurricane Katrina back in '05. So, you know, there's that. And you also have right here the Smoothie King Center, which is home of the New Orleans Pelicans. So they have Zion Williamson now as their star player. So let me go over here real quick to check out this stadium. Now here goes the Benson Tower. So Tom Benson, I think he was the original owner of the New Orleans Saints franchise. So his name is like pretty much etched in history right here in New Orleans. And from here you can also see the Entergy building. Entergy is a energy company based right here in New Orleans. And there's also a Hyatt hotel. So you get a really good view of the city from over here by the stadium. And check this out. This is a sculpture right here. It's called Rebirth. And it pretty much commemorates a historical play in New Orleans Saints history. It is sculpted by Brian P. Hanlon of the Hanlon Sculpture Studio back in 2012. And this is just a commemoration of a play that took place on September 25th, 2006, where a special teams player by the name of Steve Gleason was responsible for one of the most dramatic moments in New Orleans Saints history. He blocked a punt in the first quarter of the team's return to the Superdome following Hurricane Katrina. That night, the Saints defeated their rival Atlanta Falcons 23-3. It would kickstart an improbable run for a team that would go on to win the NFC South crown and play for the NFC Championship season that season. That block punt that season symbolized the rebirth of the city of New Orleans. Again, sculpted by Brian P. Hanlon. So this was a very historical moment, given what New Orleans had experienced with the Hurricane Katrina recently prior to that event. So yep, there it is. This basically brought back the spirit to New Orleans. So there you have it. Caesars Superdome, Smoothie King Center. Right over here is Champion Square, which is right outside of, or right adjacent to, the Caesars Superdome. So it looks like you have a sound stage over here. And let me go over here and check this out. Look at this. This is dope. You got Zion Williamson right there dunking the basketball. And that's the late Sam Mills right here. He was the linebacker for that Dome Patrol defense of the New Orleans Saints. It was under Steve Sidwell's 3-4 defense. So he was one of the stars on that Dome Patrol defense. And there goes Drew Brees right there hoisting the Lombardi Trophy when they won Super Bowl 44 back in, I believe it was 2009. There goes another one of the OGs right here. That's O-lineman, I think his name was Willie Rofe. That's him right there. He was an offensive lineman for the Saints. back in the 90s. So it's just a little history in pictures right here, and images over here by the Superdome. And there's one more thing I want to get over here by the Caesars Superdome before I proceed. So I'm pretty sure this area also was pretty lit when the Saints won the Super Bowl back in 2009. You got the Caesars sculpture right here, has a bell. That's dope. That's dope. Before I got away, I had to get this sculpture of the owner, Tom Benson, the late owner Tom Benson, holding up the Lombardi Trophy. Again, that was a huge moment in New Orleans, not only sports history, but just the city of New Orleans in general. And Tom Benson is from New Orleans. He's a man of passion and dedication to his home city and state of Louisiana. Through his steadfast support, leadership, and commitment as owner of the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans, he helped usher in the renaissance of this great American city. So Mr. Benson's uncanny vision and compassionate heart embodies his love of all things associated with his hometown. A driven and focused leader, Mr. Benson devotedly defended his hometown during dire circumstances and was tireless in his efforts in leading the private sector and serving as a strong advocate to the less fortunate. Family, faith, and a love of sports and their great and positive impact forged their legacy. And by bringing an NFL World Championship to his hometowns, he accomplished one of his most rewarding lifetime dreams. And this also was sculpted by Brian Hamlin, who sculpted the statue we saw earlier of the block punt. So shout out and rest in peace to Tom Benson. And here goes just a little poster of some fans of the New Orleans Saints. The George Hollis Trophy when they won the NFC Championship, preceding their Super Bowl trophy right here. And I think that's Tom Benson and his wife right there. And there goes, and they also the New Orleans Pelicans logo right there. So New Orleans sports is extremely important and viable to the city of New Orleans. So they have a cool fan base, you can see right here. So yeah. We also have like a nice little thing going on up there. Let me see if I can get to it. Okay. This is like a little memorial right here I guess this is just all the, I guess these are just all the individuals who have contributed to the Saints in their football team over the years since they've been in New Orleans. The Saints franchise entered the NFL, and I think it was the late 60s. I want to say 67 was the year. But there you have it. New Orleans sports, Saints and Pelicans. Now, I'm in the lower 9th Ward district of New Orleans, and this neighborhood still shows signs of rebuilding. Even some 20 years later, after the Hurricane Katrina disaster. As you can see right here, here's a flood wall that was built along the Mississippi River. But as you can see right here, this is the Industrial Canal flood wall. The breach of the Industrial Canal and others during Hurricane Katrina created a pivotal moment in American history when flood walls designed and built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers failed. The flooding from the breach here killed hundreds, destroyed homes, toppled trees, and forever altered the fabric of the historic lower 9th Ward. The disaster forced the Army Corps to issue new guidelines in levee building, which improved safety for residents all across the country. So yeah, there it goes again. There goes that flood wall. And yes, it was definitely necessary that this was built, because again, flood control is very important in ensuring that floods don't overtake, you know, low-lying areas such as this one here in the 9th Ward and New Orleans in general. This is the lower 9th Ward. I'm at City Park here in New Orleans. And City Park is a public park here in New Orleans, the 87th largest and 20th most visited urban park in the United States. And it's interesting to know that City Park is also 50% larger than Central Park in New York City. So we've pretty sure most of us have heard of Central Park in New York. Well, City Park is much larger than that. So as you're going to see, there's a lot of live oak trees in City Park. There's also a museum on the grounds of City Park. And this museum right here is called the Louisiana Children's Museum. So it sits right here on the water, as you can see. A lot of those oak trees, by the way, a lot of the oak trees here in City Park are more than 600 years old. And also keep in mind that City Park is one of the 50, like top 50 oldest city parks in the US. So it's a very old park. It was established back in 1840. Tired, man. A little exercise area over there. Look at the peace and tranquility of this little park right over here. So this right here is actually called the Christian Brothers School, this building. I like the wind chimes over here by this water. Now City Park is 1,300 acres, so this is just a small portion of the park, the city park, a snippet if you will. I just wanted to give you guys a little glimpse of what City Park looks like here in New Orleans, so stay tuned for more of the city of New Orleans. Oh, how could I forget the New Orleans Museum of Art, a staple on the grounds of City Park. Fort St. John, aka Spanish Fort, was established by colonial French in the early 18th century. Rebuilt by the Spanish 1779, restored by the American 1808, and it was built to protect New Orleans from attack by way of Lake Ponchatrain. Now, Fort St. John is located near Lake Ponchatrain, which is another major body of water that surrounds New Orleans, or at least borders New Orleans to the north. So I wanted to get to the lake shore before I get away and depart New Orleans. But this is the grounds of Fort St. John right here. and it's not far from the University of New Orleans. So this is a very historic area of the city. Check out that water. Done made it to Lakeshore Park. Lakeshore Park on the shores of Lake Ponchatrain. And this will be my last stop here in New Orleans for this particular vlog. And what better way to cap things off than to come to the lake shore and get a little quick stroll. So this is the grounds of the park. You can see there's a little gazebo over there with some benches. And there's several benches that line the trail alongside the lake over here. So the calming waters right here. Just listen to it. So, like I mentioned before, Lake Ponchatrain is north of the city of New Orleans. It covers an area of about 630 square miles. It has an average depth of anywhere between 12 to 14 feet. So it's pretty deep waters. Named for Louis Filippo Comte de Ponchatrain, a French minister of the Marine Chancellor from France during the reign of Louis IX. So a nice area to get a nice stroll in, a jog, or walk the dog, or just take a little romantic stroll on the lake. It's always a good and relaxing pastime. But I just wanted to come check out the lake before I got away and get this footage. So for those who have made it this far, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And for those who are new to the channel, Please make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. And once you hit the subscribe button, also make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you get any notifications anytime I drop a vlog or anything of that nature. With that in mind, people, again, it's been a good trip. Good relaxing trip here to New Orleans. And until next time, take care, have a great day, and see you on the next one. Peace.